Community. Good morning. I'm Michael Book, Community Relations Coordinator for Valley Metro. Thank you for joining us for this call-in session for the Northwest Extension Phase 2 project. Participants are joining us via their computers on WebEx or through their phones and are currently muted. I'll describe the meeting format and how to participate in just a moment, but first, if you are having any technical issues right now, you may need to hang up or log off, then redial and reconnect. If that does not work, please contact WebEx Help at 866-229-3239. Once more, at 866-229-3239. We're looking forward to your questions, and the team is ready to answer. After the presentation, we'll describe and display instructions for asking a question. Keep in mind, after this meeting, you can continue to ask questions or provide comments anytime through September 4th by visiting the online public meeting on the project website at valleymetro.org/northwest and the number 2. The format for today is a short presentation. Then the remainder of the meeting will be open for questions and answers. Please note this event is being recorded and will be posted to the project website. Now, I'd like to begin the presentation by introducing Tony Santana, the Northwest Extension Phase 2 Project Manager with Valley Metro.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning. I'm Tony Santana, and thank you again for participating in this session. I'm going to provide a brief overview of the project, discuss some of the design elements, which are now final, and show you a simulation and a few project drawings. MB Fienertein, with Valley Metro's Public Art Manager, will review the art that has been designed for the project. Following MB, we'll hear from Gary Sanders. He's the project manager for the contractor, Kiewit McCarthy. Gary will go over the construction phasing and what to expect. Michael Book would then rejoin us to close the presentation with information about the project community programs and ways to keep informed. Following the presentation, we will be available to answer any questions you may have. The information provided today is available with additional detail through the online public meeting on the project website. We hope, if you haven't already, that you'll visit the website, view the information, and provide your input. With that, let's get started with an overview of the project. The project is part of the voter-approved Regional Transportation Plan and is a 6-mile extension to the existing 28 miles of light rail in Phoenix, Tempe, and Mesa. The project will extend light rail from the current end of line at Dunlap and 19th Avenue, west of Dunlap Avenue, then north on 25th Avenue, and across I-17 on Mountain View Road, ending on the west side of the freeway near the former Metro Center Mall. 3 new stations will be added as part of this project, one on Dunlap near 25th Avenue, a second on 25th Avenue near Rose Mofford Dog Park, and a 3rd station will be near the former Metro Center Mall. A 4-story parking garage will be constructed next to Metro Center Station. When the project is completed, the transit center that is currently located on the southwest area of the mall property will be relocated to the area below and adjacent to the new Metro Center Station. The new Metro Center Station will be the first elevated station in the Valley Metro system, and our team is really excited about it. The station will be covered, but will be open air on the sides with rails covering the bottom portion and open air sections being towards the top. The parking garage I mentioned earlier will be located on the northeast side of the station. People parking in the structure will have direct access to the station from the top floor of the parking garage with access from lower floors. The project designers have created a video simulation showing this end-of-line station. If you're calling in today, I understand you won't be able to see the video, so I'll describe what's being shown and hope you can check out the video later on the project website. We're going to run that video now. An aerial view looking down and to the northeast of Metro Center Station pans counterclockwise. Then it will transition to the light rail operator's perspective of entering Metro Center Station from the east. The parking garage is to the right. The covered open air station has rails on the lower portion of the platform, enclosing it for safety, with the upper portion being open. Now passing through the ground level transit center, moving from the east to west beyond the station, two bridge structures overhead are the tail tracks, which store the light rail vehicles when they're not being used. Another significant structural element of the project are the light rail bridges over the I-17. The two bridges will be on the north side of Mountain View Road. The bridges will be near the Outback Steakhouse on the east side of I-17 and adjacent to College America on the west side of I-17. The piers supporting the light rail bridges are adjacent to the frontage roads outside of the freeway corridor. Again, all this information and more is included in the online public meeting and throughout the project website at valleymetro.org/northwest2, and that is the number 2. As with the current 28-mile rail line, art is an important part of this project as well. MB Fienerting, who's Valley Metro's public art manager, will describe the art design for this project.
Thanks, Tony. The public art design for the project embodies the rich historical character of the communities which will soon be connected by the train. Stakeholders selected 5 local and 2 national artists to create works of art that reflect unique aspects of the surrounding area. The artists explored and researched the community and collaborated with the project designers, architects, and engineers, and then developed their designs through a process involving stakeholders and members of the Regional Rail Arts Committee, comprised of citizen groups of artists and arts professionals with public input throughout the design process. The online public meeting on the project website provides some great details about the project art and locations, as well as artists' backgrounds, inspirations, and other projects in which they've worked. I do hope you'll take some time to visit the website and learn more. Some of the artists celebrate the organic, beautiful, and playful forms of nature's flora and fauna. Some explore our history through cultural forms or a nostalgic reference to the recent history of Metro Center in its heyday, and one artist investigates the source of the Phoenix Lights. With that, I will turn the presentation over to Gary Sanders. He is the project manager for Kiewit McCarthy and contractor for the project.
Thanks, MB. Project construction has begun and will continue through late 2023. Kiewit McCarthy will start heavy construction on Dunlap Avenue in late October this year. The project's light rail construction process is divided into 4 phases: utility relocation and road widening, track and station installation, bridges construction, and finally overhead power systems and testing. Utility relocation requires moving existing utility lines from the corridor where the light rail tracks will be going so they will not conflict when the light rail is in operation. The work will be in the right-of-way with the possibility of night work. Access will be provided to residents and businesses as we work adjacent to them. During this phase, the traffic lanes will consist of 1 lane in each direction with a center turn lane. This and the road widening work is typically the most disruptive phase of construction. Track and station installation centers this work on the areas where the light rail train will be contained. This phase contains the elements you will see progressing, such as placement of rail and light rail station construction. Typically, this work is less impactful to the pedestrians and the driving public as it is mainly in the light rail right-of-way. A unique project element will be constructing the parallel light rail bridges over I-17 that Tony described earlier, and reconstruction of the Arizona Canal bridges. Our work on the Mountain View Road approach ramp for the new bridges over I-17 starts late this year with utility relocations and underground foundations for the bridge columns. This work will proceed through 2021 and includes erecting the bridge structures over I-17 and will continue through 2022 with deck, barrier, lighting, track, and overhead power for the light rail trains. The reconstruction of the Arizona Canal bridges on 25th Avenue will occur in the first half of 2021 and will require periodic roadway closures. Finally, as construction wraps up, the last stage is installing the overhead power systems and testing. This work is all within the track area with the vehicle traffic lanes in their final alignments. When the testing is completed, the extension will be open for the public. Some construction-related elements to expect during this construction project include access will be maintained for businesses and residents. There will be notification and coordination of construction activities. There will be modification to traffic lanes and sidewalks. There will be daytime and some nighttime work as needed. There could be temporary utility interruptions. And scheduled outages and other impactful activities will be communicated to impacted residents and business owners in advance. It's important to note the project team makes every effort to get you information ahead of time so construction activities are not a surprise to residents, business owners, staff, and the traveling public. Please remember to be safe and smart around the light rail work zones. The rules are there to not only keep you safe, but also to keep the workers safe. Be alert. Pay attention to construction staging. Avoid using headphones or cell phones near the construction areas. And please don't jaywalk over the tracks, both during construction and after the trains are running. The project team's community relations group will be working with the community to provide information about upcoming construction activities during each phase. And with that, here again is Michael Book, Valley Metro's Community Relations Coordinator, to discuss these elements.
Thanks, Gary. As you can tell, this is a large and complex construction effort. Valley Metro strives to mitigate disruptions during project construction, and my role is to communicate with area stakeholders during the project and be available at all times to answer questions and address concerns. There are some times when construction work will directly impact residents or business owners. In all cases, we communicate this information in advance. In some cases where the construction activity has more direct impact, we will meet with the stakeholder to coordinate work to accommodate specific considerations. For example, if there is a scheduled electrical outage for a business, the business owner may express a need for the outage to be after business hours so it is less disruptive. Valley Metro will be instituting a few community programs during area project construction. We are seeking a diverse group of stakeholders to participate on the Construction Advisory Board, or CAB. The role of the CAB is to serve as liaisons between the project contractor and community. CAB members will evaluate the performance of the contractor in minimizing impacts to the community during construction. Another important community program, Workforce Development, offers hiring and training events for people interested in construction jobs, as well as career development programs for grade school and high school students. Details for Project CAB and Workforce Development programs are included in the online public meeting on the website, including a CAB application and a Workforce Development interest form you can complete and submit to be contacted regarding these programs. Besides myself, the Valley Metro Business Assistance Coordinator, Bree Balke, will implement the Business Assistance Program for the project, working directly with businesses. Bree's job is to connect businesses with Valley Metro and other programs designed to promote and support impacted businesses in the corridor during construction. If you are the owner or representative of a business along the project route, she will be reaching out to you in the near future to learn more about your business and to let you know what business assistance programs are available. Perhaps most importantly, we encourage you to stay connected as this project progresses. There are lots of ways to do this. Every Friday, I send an email which details construction activities for the following week. If you would like to receive that email, please let me know or go to the online public meeting and submit your information for this. The email information is also posted on the project website at valleymetro.org/northwest2. A new app, Construct VM, will be available for download this fall. Watch your email or check the website for information announcing this app. Finally, reach out to Bree or me with any questions or concerns. Our contact information is on the website, including our email addresses and phone numbers, which mine is 602-256-5811. Once again, 602-256-5811, and Bree's, which is 602-256-5822. And I'll repeat that once more, 602-256-5822. That concludes the presentation. Just a reminder, you can review this information in more detail by visiting the online public meeting at valleymetro.org/northwest and the number 2. Now we'll begin the question and answer portion of the meeting. For those of you using WebEx through your internet browser, go to More Options at the bottom of your screen and then select Raise Hand. If you're using WebEx through your smartphone, select Raise Hands on the bottom right of the participant list. If you're using the WebEx computer application, open the participant panel from the menu at the bottom of your screen, then click on the hand icon. When you're done speaking, click Lower Hand or click the hand icon again. We have 2 slides which show the instructions for asking a question and raising your hands. We will be toggling between both slides during the remainder of the meeting. If you're joining by phone, press *3 if you'd like to ask a question. This gives us a hand raised signal, and when it's your turn to speak, we'll call on you and your line will be unmuted. When you've finished speaking, press *3 again to remove the hand raised signal. And a reminder, if you are having technical issues, please contact WebEx help at 866-229-3239. Haley Estelle with Valley Metro is managing the questions queue. Haley, are we ready?
Good morning, Michael. Yes, we do have 2 questions that have come through. The first question has been submitted by Joe Moore via the Q&A feature of WebEx. Joe says, what, if any, is the expected impact on the bike paths that run near the canal bridges?
Thank you, Joe. So regarding the bike paths, the main impact point would be where on 25th Avenue, where there is the canal crossing, the bridge crossing over the Arizona Canal. And so any impacts really would be during construction. There is some work, especially when they are going to be reconstructing that bridge. You might see, for vehicles, there might be some street closures at some point. And for cyclists and pedestrians, I would expect to see some detours going around that intersection. So I think those are the impacts that you would expect to experience during construction. There is an important point to note. As a part of our project, we are adding traffic signals at that location at the canal crossing on both sides. So that will have push button access for pedestrians and cyclists to activate the traffic signals so you can cross safely as well. And thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Our next question is coming from a call-in user. Caller, I see that you have your hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and unmute your line. When I do that, you'll be live with our panelists, and you'll also get a note on your phone that indicates you've been unmuted. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you now. Caller, you're live with the panelists. Call-in user, please double check that your phone is not muted on your side and go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. My name is Ben Black, and I have two questions. Question number one, how does the light rail connect to the stop on 19th Avenue and Dunlap for the second phase of the pod? How would it connect the two pieces? And then the other question is, why aren't we elevating the light rail? So it would stay out of traffic and it'd be more stable. Anytime there's an accident or something hits the train, it's a big mess. If the light rail was elevated away from the mess, it'd be more smoother. There might be even a way to automate the light rail. In the end, it might be a lot cheaper. Just asking. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So for the first question about how the connection will be with the existing light rail at 19th Avenue and Dunlap, it will be a seamless connection. This is an extension to the light rail system. So at a certain point, usually late on in the project for construction projects, we tie into the existing rail. And at that point, as you probably know, the rail is located on the south side of Dunlap. Pretty quickly from that connection, the rail will enter the middle of Dunlap Avenue and continue down the middle for a majority of the route on Dunlap Avenue until it approaches 25th Avenue, where then it will move more toward the north side of the street. And then obviously at 25th Avenue, we'll make the turn there as well. Regarding the elevation, I know that this is something that if you elevate the train, it does increase costs, and as also a question is often why don't we have more of a subway type of system, which I think that's about a 10 times more cost. But maybe Tony, if you could help address both of those questions, if there's anything more that you can add.
And I think you addressed those questions well. I think we are, like Mike said, it's going to be a seamless connection just east of C Street on the south side of Dunlap. So you'll see nothing different than you see today once we're complete with the project. So it'll be a seamless connection. As far as the going elevated, I think that was a decision made back early on in the initial phase. But it was one of the major factors was cost analysis, and it is significantly more costly to do an elevated structure. The other thing I think we can pass to Madeline to see how an at-grade system is also good for economic development around our stations. So I don't know if Madeline's on the line and she can speak to that a little bit more.
Sure. Well, I can tell you that in the 12-ish years that light rail's been open, we have seen $14 billion worth of development within our light rail corridor, so within half a mile of distance. So it has been really beneficial for economic development throughout the Metro Phoenix area so far.
And just as a note, Madeline is with Valley Metro Communications. So, caller, did that answer your question?
Ben, you can go ahead.
Yes, it did. I can see so many great benefits. I was up in Vancouver, and they have an elevated light rail system, and it is amazing. And also, because it's elevated, businesses are able to elevate, so it was really pretty seamless, and also it's a lot easier to track fares to make sure people are paying, because it's a blockage. So people to get up to the where the light rail is, you have to pay to get up there. I just think it made it was really great, and I wish we had a system that was like that. The Metro Center stop, will that be inside the parking lot of Metro Center? Oh, and what's going to happen with Metro Center? I know now that it's closed. I mean, the idea was great when there was a mall there. What's going to happen to Metro Center, I guess?
So regarding the station itself at Metro Center Mall, if you know, the simulation did show that it does kind of go into the Metro Center parking lot. It doesn't touch the existing Metro Center Mall, and the transit center is located there underneath the station as well. Regarding the mall itself, I think through the whole process, you know, we've been working, the project team and the City of Phoenix, with the Carlisle Development Group, who has ownership of the mall right now. And I think the sense was that it was going to be developed into something else in the future. So the closure of the mall didn't really necessarily come as a surprise, but it does, you know, it does give us an advantage of knowing that light rail does spur economic development. As Madeline mentioned, $14 billion worth of investment has gone in the almost 12 years that it has been in existence in the valley. So it is exciting. And, you know, in advance of this, the Carlisle Development Group also worked with the city to have the Metro Center Mall area rezoned. Prior to just a year or two ago, it was zoned only for retail, and now it's multi-use. So you could see a variety of types of businesses, medical centers, apartments, things along those lines. So it's really exciting thinking of the potential of Metro Center with light rail. Thank you for your call, Ben.
Great. Thanks, Mike. And Ben, as a courtesy, if you could just lower your hand by pressing *3 on your telephone keypad, that would be great. I'm going to go ahead and move on to some questions that have been submitted through the Q&A by James Martinez. There are two here. I'll go ahead and read them now. James says, with the closure of Metro Center Mall, how, if at all, does your team work with the existing owner/city council to make sure that you are working in coordination, or do you operate independently since it's a private owner? To clarify, how do you work with a future owner or redevelopment of the Metro Center area mall? Thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned, the project team and the City of Phoenix has been working with the property owner on the redevelopment, so we aren't doing it in a vacuum. You know, as often is the case with light rail projects, there are developers interested in what we're doing, and you know, we see an interest for them because they want to know how they can work well with light rail adjacent to them. So it is something that we definitely take into account. We never, even when we're doing the construction for this corridor, I'm out there actively working with the business owners adjacent to our light rail construction. I want to know what their concerns are and if they're having any issues. I would rather address those issues right away than having something that continues throughout the process. It makes it easier for everyone. So we do work with the property owner, and maybe we have Marcus Coleman on the line with the City of Phoenix. I just wanted to see if he wanted to add anything to the development question with Metro Center Mall.
Yes, thank you, Michael. What I would add to that question, and a great job in answering that, what I would add to that is, particular with the Metro Center Mall area, this has been something that we've worked with the existing property owner, even at the onset of this project. We knew that this would bring an economic development opportunity to the area. We've done several publications. We've even done publications in the Phoenix Business Journal as of late to help market the property. Our Community and Economic Development Department has been very instrumental in the marketing of this area, due to the fact that one of the existing property owners is really looking to let go of the property to a future development so that they can expand that use to a more high-dense use, some type of multi-purpose use in the area. And so we've really been working kind of hand in hand. We have members of the Community and Economic Development Department on our light rail team. And so they're a part of our project meetings. They come to our monthly construction meetings. And so they're very in tune of the process that we go through, and we communicate that information to our property owners. We also keep our council updated. We do monthly briefings with our council on all transit issues, so that'd be bus and rail. And then we have special briefings with council districts that are in this area that we give information pertaining to light rail extensions in their specific council districts. So I hope that answers the question.
If I could add one last thing.
We do have a contact for any additional information on the development of the mall property. Jeff Stapleton, who is the program manager with the City of Phoenix in the Community and Economic Development Department, he can be reached at 602-534-3162, or his email address is Jeff, Jeff, Stapleton, STAPLETON, at phoenix.gov.
Mike, we've got a question that was submitted over the Q&A, if you're ready.
Yes.
Great. So Janice asks, how does this affect Metro Parkway? What businesses will be closed?
So with the construction, it doesn't really impact Metro Parkway. During the construction, so obviously we have to build the transit center, the Metro Center station, and that will be in the place of an existing building that's there, which is the Pond First / T-Mobile building. So the City of Phoenix has been in contact with them about this project, and so we'll have direct impacts, obviously, to that building. When that work is being performed, I would anticipate that there might be roadway restrictions around that area. And, with that, let me ask and send this question to Gary Sanders to see if he can mention anything specifically about the construction as it relates to Metro Parkway when the transit center is being constructed.
Yeah, Michael. So similar to Dunlap Avenue, there will be some lane restrictions. We have some utility relocation work to do for utilities that are in the Metro Parkway. But just like Dunlap, we will have traffic control set up with either lane restrictions or detours to provide access around the work zones that we anticipate up there at Metro Parkway. We don't anticipate a complete closure of Metro Parkway without providing a route around the construction areas.
Perfect. Thank you, Gary.
All right, Mike, we've got another question that was submitted through the Q&A. This is from Joe. He says, what will the interface between the bus and light rail station look like?
So you may be familiar that there is an existing transit center in the Metro Center Mall area, but it's located on the southwest corner of the mall. So as a part of this project, as you've heard, that we are building a transit center which will be underneath the Metro Center station, because that will be an elevated station. The transit center will have access down below the station. And so really we're trying to integrate, we're relocating that current bus stop to that location, and that will be done. The official transition will be when the project construction is completed. But that's where you'll be going for any form of transit, for your local bus connections, for your express connections, et cetera. And then that's another reason why we will have that 4-story park and ride garage attached to these facilities as well. So you really don't have to go too far when you're parking your car as a park and ride option to board any type of transit in that area. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mike. That's all of the questions that we have for now. As a reminder, if you've joined over the phone, you can press *3 to raise your hand, or if you've joined on the WebEx application, you can use the Ask a Question feature to submit a question. It looks like we do have one more, Mike. I'll go ahead and read that now. That's from John. He says, in the future, is there still a possibility of extending the light rail beyond the Metro Center station, like to ASU's West Campus in Glendale? Or are other options like BRT or new bus routes further north or west being considered instead?
So regarding the kind of the future of where light rail is going to be going, there has been talk of extending it to ASU's West Campus. Really, the regional transportation plan doesn't address that at this point, which what you'll see on the regional transportation plan, which was a slide that was included as a part of this presentation today and is on our online public meeting, kind of shows the future planning for light rail extensions through approximately the years 2035, 2040 timeframe. And an extension to ASU West is not included on that as of yet. It has been in mind for a possible future extension, maybe beyond that time frame. So it is something that we're looking at. As far as BRT options, I'll go ahead and send that question to Marcus Coleman again to see if he's aware of what would be on the City of Phoenix side regarding BRT.
Thank you again, Michael. From a City of Phoenix standpoint, if you are familiar with the Prop 104, which is another name for that is our T2050 program. The ASU West extension for light rail was included on the map as a future extension to light rail. So that is something that us at the City of Phoenix, we definitely are looking forward to having that extension. We do know that times are changing and things do change, and then we have to keep a close eye on development patterns. Things that are going on today with the pandemic have definitely made us change some of the way that we view and look at our transportation options, just to make sure that we're putting in infrastructure that is placed in a smart and a very efficient way. As part of that T2050 tax as well that was approved, BRT was a program that was also added and going to be added to our City of Phoenix services that we provide. And so with our BRT corridors right now, we're evaluating, if you remember on the ballot, there were a series of lines that ran north and south and east and west as potential corridors for the BRT program. And so we're in the process right now of evaluating those corridors that were previously identified to make sure that they meet the minimum requirements of a BRT system. BRT is something that's new to the Valley, so it's going to be a very lengthy process of educating the public of what BRT is, working with property owners and stakeholders to identify corridors and minimize impacts to them and make sure that those corridors lend themselves to the use of BRT and work well with BRT. And so I wouldn't say that those things or those modes of transportation for local and BRT are off the table for extension out to ASU West. But what I will say is with us having a bus transit, having a transit center that has rail and bus at this location, it allows for us to have options. It allows for us to have options to, I know sometimes if you have watched the way that we developed some of these routes before we did the South Central extension, we had several express routes that we routed through the Central Corridor. We do those things to get people used to that being a transit corridor where you may not have a very high use of transit, or some, should I say, where you have a high use where you want to provide different modes of transit. There may be a time that we run BRT or rapid or local service route from this transit center out to ASU West to give us a preview of the type of ridership that will be performed by that route. And then we'll look to what permanent types of infrastructure is needed for that route. So yes, our original plan was for light rail to extend there. but this is something that we're continuously evaluating, knowing the change in environment. BRT or local route may be something that works better depending on what type of development and growth happens along the area. And so I hope that answers your question.
And Marcus, just to add to that, just from a design point, working with the City of Phoenix, we understood that those were definitely, there's a lot of options we could do to get to ASU West, and our light rail system, the way it is designed today, allows us to extend, should that be the chosen path in the future.
Okay, thank you. Haley, are there any more questions?
At this time, Mike, there are no more questions that I can see in the queue. As a reminder, if you're over the phone, you can press *3 to raise your hand. We'll unmute your line and you can ask the panelist your question. Or you can use the Q&A feature in your WebEx application if you've joined virtually. With that, Michael, that's it for now. So bring it back to you.
Okay, perfect. Then I will take advantage of this lull in questions. And I wanted to introduce, I mentioned Bree Belke, who's the Business Assistance Coordinator, and she'll be working with me on this construction project. Her role is to work directly with the businesses and kind of discuss what Valley Metro programming options there are for business assistance. So I'm going to hand it over to Bree. And Bree, can you maybe introduce yourself and talk a little about what businesses should expect to see from our program?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Michael. My name is Bree Belke, and I'm with Valley Metro. I'm going to be the Business Assistance Coordinator in this corridor, and I'm a full-time staff member dedicated to this area. Some of the things you can expect as a business owner is to be working directly with me. You will have directional signage to your businesses to make sure that we're getting those folks that are looking for your business, they're able to find your driveway and get in and park. Other things are promotional events. Now, some of those promotional events would be maybe a mailer, maybe during the holidays. Other things we like to do that hopefully we can do again in the future is we host community events where you would be able to have a table and speak to the community directly on what your business does and offers. Hopefully we'll get back to that soon when things are right. Other things to expect, we offer technical assistance, so if you need help with getting your website up to date and maybe more interactive, maybe you want to take a dive into social media, that's another opportunity that we can offer you is to help you get that going. But we want to work with you directly, and then we want to connect you with some advocacy groups that are here locally that want to help you too. So those are all really important things that I think really makes a difference in our construction project. We really do care about the community. We want to help support these businesses during construction. You will probably see a lot of Kiewit McCarthy folks coming into your business and utilizing what you have to offer, if it's food, if it's a service. We want to be part of that. So we're very excited about this project. Michael and I have been out canvassing quite a bit the last few weeks, so hopefully we've met you. If not, we will be excited to meet you. And I'm excited to be here. I'm really thrilled about this project.
And if for some reason, like as Bree mentioned, we have been out canvassing. If this doesn't sound familiar to you and you own a business, definitely reach out to one of us, and we definitely want to talk to you and learn more about your business and how we can assist you during construction.
Michael, we should have had our masks on for this so everyone could recognize us with our masks on. That's
right.
Kind of something that you're not used to seeing with our full faces, but excited to work with you, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Mike, this is Haley. I've got a caller that's got a question. It looks like it's Ben again. Ben, this is Haley. I see that you have your hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and unmute your line. I think you know the drill by now, but when I do that, you'll get a message on your phone that you've been unmuted. All right, Ben, you're live.
Hey, Haley, this is Ben again. You're right. I just want to confirm that east of 19th Avenue and Dunlap shouldn't be affected by any kind of problems with construction. I just wanted to confirm that.
So east of Dunlap, maybe I'll send that to Gary to see if there's any type of barricading or anything that's anticipated. I don't believe you'll see any construction there, obviously, but Gary, do you want to comment if there will be any construction activities like barricading to channel into lanes, anything that crosses Dunlop onto the other side?
Yeah, Ben. Yeah, I'll answer that. So, Ben, there is no physical construction east of 19th Avenue, but as we work through the traffic restrictions and getting the traffic permits with the city of Phoenix, there may be some traffic barricades, channeling devices that'll have to be installed east of 19th Avenue in order to start the lane closures before we get past or west of the 19th Avenue intersection. And that's something we'll work with the city of Phoenix and follow their requirements for traffic control. But in the way of physical work, there's nothing east of 19th Avenue.
Great.
But what about power outages?
So throughout the project, every once in a while there will be a scheduled power outage if the contractor needs to do a switchover. Usually, this is happening when they're doing relocation of utilities. That's when you might have an outage. But if there is a scheduled outage, that's one of my roles. I work with the contractor to make sure whoever it's going to impact is aware of this in advance. In some cases, there are businesses that require power 24 hours a day. So we work with the business to make sure, first of all, we find out when the best time to do this outage would be. And, if they need power, then we work on supplying generators so there is no loss of power during the outage. Through any project like this, sometimes there are accidents that happen. So in that case, and you do experience a power outage and you weren't anticipating it, that's one reason to keep my information close. And throughout the whole project, construction will last through 2023, with it opening to the public in 2024. But throughout the whole project, I'll be available 24 hours a day if there are any issues. So don't hesitate to call me. And I mentioned my information throughout the presentation. It's available on the project's website. Bree and I, when we went canvassing, we had contact cards that we've distributed in the corridor itself as well. And if there are any materials, any information that you need from me, please let me know, especially if you want one of the contact cards, which is easy to place in front of you with my contact information, my emergency contact information, Bree's contact information as well. Reach out to me and let me know what materials you may need. Did you have any other questions, Ben?
Oh, no, I was just wondering, a lot of people are working from home now, so power outages are going to be a big deal for people. So, so as much notice would be greatly appreciated about power outages.
Yes, definitely understood. If there is a scheduled outage, everyone who it would impact would be known, or would be let known of this well in advance.
How much is in advance? Is at least a week or?
So typically for power outage type of situation, we would be giving at least a week notice in advance of that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. I'm going to go ahead and mute your line.
I can't hear you.
Sorry about that, Mike. That's it from audience questions for right now. I'll keep you posted if I see any other feedback. Otherwise, it's back to you.
Perfect. So I wanted to see if we could hear again from Madeline Phipps, she's already answered one question for us, but I wanted to see if she could kind of give us a perspective. The last caller mentioned COVID and how people are working from their homes right now. Valley Metro, that's definitely something that we've had to take into account. I was wondering if maybe Madeline could describe a little more about what Valley Metro does to make sure our transit is, preventative from the spread of this disease?
Sure. So we're doing a number of things, and then we're also encouraging the public to partner with us to help stop the spread of COVID. So first of all, of course, we always clean our vehicles no matter what, but due to COVID, we've enhanced our protocols quite a bit. So for both our buses and our light rail trains, we're now using a process called fogging, which is cleaning with kind of a vapor misting system that can disinfect a large space, and it also leaves the product for a longer time. So for example, on the light rail, we're doing this about once a month because the solution lasts for about that long. And then of course, we're also paying close attention to all the high touch areas like our fare vending machines, handrails, seats and armrests. Those are all disinfected daily with an antiviral solution. And then in terms of how we're looking for support from our riders, we're still asking people to social distance when possible. And also we are requiring our riders to wear a face covering. And if you don't have one, there are several places you can get one. So our Phoenix Transit Centers have face coverings available for riders. We also have our customer experience coordinator staff who is at different rail stations at different points in the week that's providing those face coverings as well. So certainly we're doing what we can to make sure that vehicles are clean. And then also we're asking all of our riders to please do their part and follow all the hygiene recommendations from the CDC, washing your hands frequently, and of course wearing face coverings while on board or at a station or a stop.
Thank you, Madeline. And not to dwell too much on COVID, but it is something that's, really top of mind these days. And I wanted to see if maybe Gary Sanders could talk about what he will be doing with his crews to protect them as well.
Sure, Mike. So we have a program in place, not only for craft, but for staff also, but just like everybody else, we have social distancing. We limit the size of our crews. We don't allow crews to gather for meals or for breaks. Meals are isolated, trying to limit the duration of exposure to each other. No shared water vessels, whether it's water bottles. We use independent or personal water bottles. No sharing of the water bottles there. We are working with the various businesses to be able to have parking close to the work areas so that employees can drive their personal vehicles right to their work locations on the project. We're doing that to limit the amount of employees that we have to transport in company rigs. For staff, for supervisors moving around the projects, we limit the number of people in the vehicles. For standard pickup, we only allow a single occupant. Crew cab pickups are 2 occupants on opposite corners. So we're trying to keep everybody 6 feet away, limit the size of meetings, limit the duration of the meetings, and just keep everybody as safe as possible. And then if somebody does report symptoms, then we go back through the contact tracing for the last 48 hours, and we have people isolate themselves and have tests, and then they can return to work once they have a negative test. So doing all the things that we can to keep everybody safe and keep everybody healthy on the project. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Mike, this is Haley. We've got a couple of questions that have been submitted through the Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and read those now. Thank you. This is from John. He says, thank you. Loosely related, but from the plans of the South Central Extension, I heard that the light rail system may be split into 2 lines. I know that it will happen in 2024-25, but do you know how that will work out at this time?
So I think, that is something that is being looked at right now. I don't have any direct answers. I don't think that anything has been decided about how that is going to be worked, but there are those discussions happening right now. That is something, if you are interested in learning more, and if that information is available, if you want to send me a message, an email, to my email address is mbook, B-O-O-K, at valleymetro.org. And if you want to send me an email with that question, and I will see if there is anything out there, but I don't believe there is any information yet that has been decided for that.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt you, Haley. This is Marcus. Michael, when you say there's no information about that, the 2-line split, which extension are we speaking of? Because the question says the plans of the South Central Extension, but then it says the system may be split into 2 lines. So I just want to make sure that we're really answering this individual's question, because they're typing in their question, not on the call to give clarification. South Central is not being split into 2 lines. I don't know if that's some kind of. I want to make sure that I'm hearing or understanding what you're answering.
Sure. So what I understood from the question was, with the addition of the South Central line and even the addition of our line, it kind of diverges our linear rail system from one line to multiple lines. So it was my understanding that the question asked if we know what the plans are for that separation of the lines.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, and I was kind of seeing that as well. So I'm like, okay. So with that, if that is truly the question, then we do have plans for that. The part of our South Central Downtown Hub project, a big piece of that is our downtown hub. That's why the name is South Central Extension Downtown Hub. The downtown hub will allow for our light rail line to actually act as a light rail system, which will allow for east-west travel from Gilbert Road all the way down to the downtown Phoenix. And it will also allow for north-south travel from Baseline Road all the way out to Metro Center Mall once both of these extensions are completed. That was a critical point of the project as we move forward with the South Central Downtown Hub project. We saw opportunity to really make sure that we have a hub that allows for intuitive transition from east-west to north-south with those extensions. And so I really want to make sure that we're answering that. Looks like there's some clarifying information that just came through.
Yep, Marcus, I'll go ahead and read that. So this is from John. He submitted the original question and he's clarifying here. He says, to clarify, I heard of a proposal of 1 line running from Metro Center to Central Baseline and another from downtown Phoenix to Mesa's Gilbert Road. Thank you, John.
Yes, you're correct, John. I hope that I expressed that through my verbal answer the same way that you described it, that is the way that we intend for the system to work, and that is the crucial part of having the downtown hub.
Great. Thank you, Michael and Marcus. We do have one more question submitted through the Q&A from Wendy. I'll go ahead and read that. When are the specs going to be available for the TPSS and Signal building?
Okay, so maybe I can refer this to Tony.
Yeah, so as we noted earlier, we do have a final design and the specifications are completed for that. The final specifications won't be done until the project is completed because we have something called an as-built process. So as we build the traction power substations, we actually have to as-built that because there could be some minor changes. But today, the design of those are completed as we're completed with the design.
Great. Thank you. That's it for Q&A right now. It is 11 o'clock.
Thank you, everyone, for participating today. Your input is important, and we appreciate you taking the time to learn more about the project and provide your feedback. As a reminder, a recording of this event will be posted to the website at valleymetro.org/northwest and the number 2. And that's also where you can continue to view information about the project and submit additional questions or comments. If you don't have computer access, please contact me at 602-256-5811. Once again, that's 602-256-5811. Thank you and have a good day.